Ugh, love it.
So today I'm talking about how to be a good teammate. I don't know if everyone just assumed I was a good teammate and I got to do that. But I'll share 2 examples in a minute of a time when I was a good teammate and when I wasn't, and then just kind of talk about some ways that I think we can be good teammates, or how you can move forward and continue to be a good teammate. But one thing I was thinking about as I was thinking about all these things that make up a good teammate, right, is that I think when we think back on our past experiences, like if everybody just took a second, I think it's a lot easier to be like, no, she was a terrible teammate. It's a lot harder sometimes to just think about all these qualities that encompass what a great teammate is. Kind of like when we talked about confidence last week, confidence is loud. Being a bad teammate is really obvious. You see a lot of examples of what you don't want to be. And I think sometimes that's kind of how we draw where the good examples or the good qualities come from. But first, I'll start by sharing my 2 examples of good and bad.
I also think you meant confidence is quiet.
Yeah, that's what I meant. See, she's just got my back, being a good teammate, being a great videographer. We're learning by trial and error here, people. 2 examples. Ironically enough, they both happened at U of A, or playing U of A. I'll start with the good one, because it was actually my first year really getting to play. It was my sophomore year, and I had not played at all my freshman year, and it was because I wasn't really a good teammate. I was a really selfish player. I was very in it for myself. I was just trying to be like, make all of these excuses to why my coach didn't like me and wasn't playing me, and just I was sick and all these things. So when I was a freshman, not a good teammate. When I was a sophomore, we were playing U of A, and it was in, what was her name? Like Kaylee Redondo. She was a shortstop at U of A, was still playing, and I was on first base, nobody on, nobody out, girl bunted, and I didn't slide into second base, and I was out. Yikes. Number 1, maybe shouldn't have been base running that day. Pretty slow. But number 2, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I got thrown out, and before I had even gotten back into the dugout, my coach had taken me out of the game for not sliding. It was one of our rules, and I was on the bench for the rest of the game. And that was like the first or second inning, and I had at that point pretty much established my starting position in right field. So I had two opportunities or 2 choices from that moment to go sulk in the dugout and be just a pain in the butt for the rest of the game, not cheer, not be a good teammate, not be there for my teammates. Or I could get my butt up on the railing and say, no, I messed up, and I'm very aware of that fact, but I'm going to be a really good teammate in any way that I know I can now. And I chose the second one, and it was really cool to have a senior leader after that game like pull me to the side and just tell me like how proud of me she was for that, because she even brought up, last year you would have done X, Y, and Z, but this year you took accountability, you didn't throw a fit, and you knew exactly what you had done wrong and you owned up to it. So that's a good example. And there were some of like the positive characteristics you heard there, but we'll touch back on them. And then the one bad one is probably probably one of like the biggest examples of, or one of the things that I remember the most of playing. And this is a crazy experience, but we were at U of A, we were getting demolished, we were losing like 13-2 or maybe 2-5. We were going to get run rolled. It was like the top of the 5th inning, and we were still getting run rolled, but I had hit a home run that inning. And we went back on to the field, and my center fielder, Leslie Rogers, I think even Coach Shauna might even know who she is, but she said to me in the middle of the game, like, Annie, great job. Like, that's awesome. And I literally, word for word, said, really doesn't matter, we're still going to lose. And I just had this negative idea of this game, and I was so just not there, not in it. And by some miraculous turn of events, we came back and won that game. And I think even if we had lost, she and I would have had the same conversation, but I remember we sat really close to each other towards the back of our bus, and she pulled me aside and she's like, you know, Annie, I'm really disappointed in you, and like that just wasn't cool, and you took something, like I was trying to compliment you, we still had very much so time in this game to win, and the way she, what would I want to say, like, what were, like, not punished or like critiqued me or like tried to,
I called you out.
yeah, the way she called me out in that moment, I had even more respect for her from that moment than I had already. And Leslie Rogers is like one of my favorite players of all time. Loved getting to be in the outfield with her. So for her, somebody I respect because she was such a good teammate, coming and calling me out meant so much to me. And I know from that moment on, anytime we were losing, anytime I wanted to have some negative thought process about how the game was going, I deferred back to that moment, and I still think I draw from that today in my personal life because it was such like an eye-opening experience. Did you have a comment, question?
How did you make that shift from one year to the next?
Well, what's funny is I think sometimes we ebb and flow. I don't think that we are just, maybe you are, and that's amazing. I don't think you just are like, wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a good teammate, and it's all downhill from there and everything's perfect. Because, little fact, that was my junior year that I was that piece of crap kid saying that in the outfield, and that's the year we won the World Series. So I had gone from my sophomore year doing everything I could to like make good and do everything I could to be this good teammate, and I did the same thing my junior year. But in that moment, I had that like fatal flaw of negativity, and it could have gone two ways. Leslie could have taken my really crappy attitude and let it spread and be like, you're right, that it really doesn't matter. Or she could have been like, no, we have a lot of time left. And then that's exactly what she did. And the rest of the game shifted. And even my mindset through that game shifted, obviously. Like, we came back and we won that game. But I think one of the things about being good teammates, and it's like the first thing on my list, is that we hold each other accountable. And not even just we hold each other accountable, we hold ourselves accountable. Kind of like in my good example, I knew exactly why I got taken out of the game, and I held myself accountable for that because I knew I messed up. But sometimes we can self-sabotage and derail, but we need that other teammate to come in and hold us accountable for our actions too. So I wouldn't say that once you're on that track, it's all smooth sailing. I think we just continually have to keep working on ourselves and being a good teammate, and just like being good people, right? We all make mistakes. But again, having those quality, like accountable teammates around you is really helpful. So those are kind of my two examples, but working down the list from being accountable, again, like I said, that's like really on top for me, but being on time. If you're on time, you're late. I'm sure all of you at home are saying that. I have this really terrible habit of wanting to leave like an hour before I need to be somewhere, and then I sit in my car and play on my phone. Once I get there, for probably like 15 to 20 minutes, because I'm petrified of being late, and it's just been instilled in me. Another example I can draw from, we were actually going to be playing at UW, and one of our players got left behind because she wasn't on time for the bus, and she didn't get to play that day. So she got left at the hotel. Her parents had to bring her. So be on time, everybody. Stay positive. It's really easy. Negativity is like a virus. It's like a cancer. It spreads everywhere. If you want to bring that to the table, I suggest you don't. Again, going all the way back to the top, hold each other accountable. Being on time, hold each other accountable. It's kind of like that flow chart that we talk about all the time, Sun Dodgers. Defer back to like step one. Be a leader, and that's also knowing your role, okay? There are some people that should be leaders vocally, very outspoken leaders that get people to go to where they need to be. I was not one of those people. I was a lead by example for the most part. Again, we all have our flaws and missteps, but I led by doing the work. I led by doing what I was supposed to do. Everybody has their role. Being that positive voice in the dugout, or being the vocal energy on the field. Know that role and own it. Work harder than everybody else. Very simply stated. Even when no one is watching, have that work ethic where you know you're working harder than everybody else that's on your team, because that is being a good teammate. If you are putting in more work than everybody else, think of how much that will elevate your whole team as a whole. If all of you are kicking your own butt, you can kick each other's butt, and you guys are just going to be better and better. One that's very important and near and dear to my heart: go to school, do your homework, get good grades. Nobody wants dumb kids on their team. Also, in college, if you don't go to school, you run. So there's that. So go to class.
And everybody runs.
Everybody runs. Not just you. Respect everyone. And by everyone, that means, starting with number 1, respect yourself. Respect your teammates and your coach. Respect your parents and your families. Respect everybody else's parents and families. Basically, respect. RESPECT. Find out what it means to me and everybody else, okay? Last but not least that I have, you good?
Everybody go play that song right now. We'll take a pause. Okay.
Last but not least, no excuses, even the valid ones. There are a million excuses we can make for why I was a butthead during that game. I could make all the excuses I want. Like, U of A's fans are really mean to us. Wah. We're losing. Wah. But instead, somebody called me out. There were no excuses in that moment, okay? So even if you're late to a tournament, my parents, they woke me up late, and then we had to have breakfast. They made me this 5-star meal, and then we're late. Okay, get up earlier.
This 5-star meal? What?
Made sense in my head. Some of these girls come to practice, like I think it's Sydney Wallace. She has like homemade waffles and bacon and orange
Is she
juice.
on time?
Yeah.
Then have it.
That's
You enjoy that breakfast.
Sydney Wallace. Have that breakfast. Tell your mom to keep doing her thing, or your dad, or if you're making it,
Even better.
even better. Be a leader. Hold yourself accountable. Do all that stuff. But again, even as coaches, I think sometimes it's like, well, coach was late because they had to go get Starbucks. I don't know if I've ever done that. If I have, no excuses. I'm sorry. But, no excuses, even the valid ones. Any comments? Questions? Concerns?
You got a little how cute Chunk is when he snuck in.
He snuck in?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right there.
right here?
Yeah. Coach Kellen really liked the Aretha Franklin.
The reference?
Yeah. And somebody corrected you about 5-course, not 5-star meal.
You know, whoever that was, if they're already doing the lives.
It was my sister.
Oh, welcome. Thanks for joining in and already criticizing everything I do. Appreciate that. But you know what? I am going to take it all in, and I'm going to be accountable for my mistake.
Reflect.
Should have said 5-course, not 5-star. Thank you for that criticism. I will take it.
I don't know if it was criticism. It was.
Thank you for calling me out politely.
It was just like a correction so that in your daily life.
Yeah, like a corrections corner.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You just
From the
gotta miss you and dog.
Is that from Kardashian?
It was.
Miss you.
And a
Kardashian.
shout out to Sydney Wallace.
Sydney Wallace. What a gem. McLernan, just so you know that still here. But that's all I have today. I don't know why I get the deep stuff. Good luck to everybody.
Deep
else.
human. Just a deep
Just
human.
really I think the mood lighting with the lamp and the coffee and the notebook, it's really, it's what gets the people going.
She reflected for a good hour just before.
Yeah, I did. I wrote deep notes. But I will see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the sunshine. Go April. It's a good time.
Miss you too, Rachel. However, why is this Coach McCone thing really taken off?
She's just hopeful.
No
I'll
longer
always
coach, just Christian.
Aw.
It's okay.
It's okay. We roll with it. We will prevail.
Bouncing back.
We will move on. But have a great weekend, everybody. And I think I will see you guys on Monday.
Maybe a dance quick.
One of these. One of these. One of these. One of these.
Really quick, do you have a Redondo Beach facility?
Yes? Question mark. Yes.